We've got Fiona Small, founder of Young Mums Support Network, Ian Blackwell, who's founder of Dangerous Dads, and Caroline Whitehead, founder of Beautiful New Beginnings. And so I'm going to hand you over first to Fiona Small, and she's going to introduce herself, her organisation, and talk a bit about parenting and running a social enterprise in the pandemic.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Hannah, for the introduction. My name is Fiona Small. I am the founder of Young Mums Support Network, which is a community interest company that I set up 8 years ago. I set it up as a response. I always tell people a response to the London riots. I had just had my second child, who is a boy, and just realised that there was craziness happening in my area and I needed to do something. So fast forward, here I am today, working with young mothers, supporting them with a variety of different needs. What we've managed to do during the pandemic is react very quickly and transition all of our services online. So we're working virtually and digitally now through all of our social media platforms. I am a fellow of the School for Social Entrepreneurs. I'm very proud to say I'm a fellow because I embarked on this journey as a result of trying to understand what was happening and try to fix a problem that I identified needed to be fixed. So I always bring back my story to where it started, and had I had not embarked on the School for Social Entrepreneurs program, the startup program back then, who I don't think I would have continued on this journey, because many of you who are in this social entrepreneur space, I'm sure will second that it comes from heart. You need to have a heart in this to really sustain it and allow for it to continue. So I'm grateful for the experience that I developed, the resilience that I developed, and all of the learning that I'm still able to apply 8 years later to my social enterprise. So during this lockdown, pandemic, COVID-19, 2020 that shook the world, our organisation has moved a lot of our services online. So I became an overnight homeschooling mother to a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old. So year 4 child and year 10 child. And those with year 10 children would probably second that. If anybody had it hard, it's definitely our year 10 children, because you know, their work experience has gone out the window. By the way, I've hired my 15-year-old to do some work experience with me, so she's not got it too bad having a mum as a social entrepreneur. And I've recruited her friend, in fact, so I might have 2 15-year-olds doing some work for me. But what's really happened is that during this, I've managed to expose a lot more of my vulnerabilities. Can I just say that? If ever, as social entrepreneurs, we can throw our toys out the pram, or we can have these massive meltdowns and pity parties and I can't do this. It's now, because I'll be honest with you guys, salute to all of us, every single one of us who are parenting and running an enterprise. Remember, we are problem solvers, but guess what? We've had our own problems to try and solve during this whole thing. It's like, really? But what's been beautiful about it is the world has had the same problems. So you feel okay about it. If ever you feel okay to have a grumble and a moan about all parenting is a challenging one, or home learning, Google Classrooms. Hello. The way that they teach maths. I'm a mother and I left school. Can I just say I was a bit of a naughty girl? Am I allowed to say that? I'm 41 now, so I can say that. I was a bit naughty. So there's certain things that I probably didn't do and learn in school. So now when I've got my 8-year-old telling me that's not how my teacher does it, that's not what it's wrong, you're doing it wrong, we do it this way. And then you've got times table rock star. So they want you to do quick maths and do, right, what is this, mummy? And what? And you sit there and you think, are you for real? Like, I'm a social entrepreneur. I am not a teacher. There's times when I've had to send emails to the teachers and be like, are you for real? I am not a teacher. I am struggling. And what's been amazing about this, especially those that have good relationships with their children's schools, is that they've been fantastic. I mean, me having a meltdown at the teachers, and by the way, can I just also add, I'm dealing with a neurodiverse child who was diagnosed last year with ADHD. So I've had to do a whole host of different things and learning. You know, he's recently got his educational healthcare plan. So in the beginning, I thought, right, I've got this. It was Joe Wicks in the morning. I've actually got my timetable on the fridge that I could show you of everything that I had put in place when the pandemic started. I was doing craziness like, oh, let's make it fun at home. I was like, right, it's a beach day. I blew up this inflatable chair, put on my sarong, and my kids were looking at me like, Mum's mad. What's going on? But I was trying to make it fun, and I'm a creative. So I was like, let's make it fun at home. Listen, that was what, March, April. So come mid-April is like, all right, Joe Wicks, really? I didn't even want to see Joe Wicks. The virtual timetable, one thing I have done through it is learn a lot about my children. And I've learned about my children's learning style, both of them, in fact. And it's given me a new level of understanding as a parent. Like, I can identify with what more so about what my children's teachers were going through, especially my son. I mean, he's a mover. Anybody that, and plus he's a drummer, so anybody that knows about ADHD children will know that everything is about rhythm, and you know, he has a fidget cushion at school, he has fidget toys, he moves. And there's times when I'm like, okay, I get what was going on. And I've never been that kind of, they're trying to label my son. I really, in the beginning, was like, something's going on here. Can we explore and investigate what is actually happening? And I've been able to get a very upfront and personal, close view on everything, that what was going on in the schools, and also his needs, and also my daughter's needs. I'm really proud of my 15-year-old who has just been, she's had to move from one program to another. They've used Teams at her school now, and it's amazing to just see how well she's been doing. But what I must say it's made me do is really exercise humility and gratitude, because the areas that we work in, I mean, I've got a printer, you know, at home, so I can print off the Google Classroom works. I have Wi-Fi at home. So, and I've got more than one device in the home. So there's not a squabble with my children in terms of who needs to do what. The area that I am working in and the support that we have been providing online, so we've got mums who have been trying to homeschool their children and do work with their children on their phones. We've had mum who's saying data or dinner, you know, and if you've got to weigh up your data or your dinner, we're dealing with a massive issue. So we're dealing with digital poverty on a whole different level. So what this, if anything, has highlighted to me is that, you know, the organisations, you know, services that we provide and the necessity for what we do is fundamentally more important than I probably could have realised, you know. And what I'm really grateful for is that even during a time like this, the connections that we've managed to make has been spectacular. I think somebody that's joined needs to mute. Hi, I think her name is Nateacher. You need to mute your phone. Sorry, I'm used to doing Zooms and telling people to mute. Wonderful. Also, just to say that when I express that, you know, there's a need for this type of services across the country, even across the world, let's not limit ourselves here. We now can really recognise how important the work and the value that social entrepreneurs bring to an ever-changing world. And I'm really grateful for the littlest things right now, and even being able, parenting through a pandemic. What I love, even look at Cal's daughter, if ever you can get away with just coming into a screen and like screen bombing mummy's meetings, it's just absolutely amazing what parenting and the acceptance, and also the value and respect. You think about people who live in a nanny state, or those that have things really differently, even they struggle, and they've got loft conversions, they've got studies, they've got outside areas to play in, probably pools and all the fandangles that the mums that we service, they're in overcrowded accommodation, they're fleeing domestic violence, their mental health is under attack, you know, their children are bouncing off the walls because half of them are undiagnosed with all different types of SEN conditions. We're dealing with real life stuff. And what I'm grateful for is that we've got the attention of the world. We've got the attention of individuals who would have never have identified what it is that we actually do and the necessity for the work that we do. So I want to encourage every single one in this space that are doing something. Don't stop, continue to work and connect. We are in an amazing space right now, amazing time where Cal and I, we only met virtually as a result of us about to do this conference. You know, last week we did a live on my Instagram. We're already exploring how me in South London and her in Liverpool can do some stuff. We've got women in India that are connecting with us to say we want to do some work. Saturday I was doing some stuff with some women in Atlanta. I mean, literally the world is your oyster now, especially in this time. And when we bring it back to our children, do you know that we are their first teachers? We are, what we do is what they're going to mirror. And as much as it's been hard, but we are resilient individuals. A lot of us, if we go back to why we started our social enterprises, it came from a place of pain. It came from a place of, you know, why did I go here? I know that for me, it was because of personal experiences. And where I am now is a lot different to where I was 8 years ago when I set it up. So as you can see, I'm a talker and I will keep going if you allow me to, but I'm now going to hand over to the next speaker. Thank you for listening. My name is Fiona Small and I'm the founder of Young Mums Support Network.
Thank you so much, Fiona, for that brilliant start. And you have actually kept to time, so well done. I'm going to now hand over to Ian Blackwell from Dangerous Dads. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you. That was great. Thanks. Yes, I'll tell you a little bit about the Dangerous Dads Network. We're a community interest company, and Dangerous Dads was set up in 2007. So I'm the dad of 3 children, and when the 2 youngest ones were little, I was working from home, and I used to take my children to the children's centre. And as you probably, as pretty universal, there are very few dads going to children's centre settings and, you know, daytime activities. So they asked me, because I was a regular, how can we get more dads to come along to the children's centre and access the services that we offer out to mums? We came up with the idea of a dads group on a Saturday afternoon, and I was saying, well, rather than the sort of stay and play plastic toys sitting with a coffee and a bacon sandwich, could we get out? Could we dig over the garden and create an allotment, or could we have a campfire, or could we make bird boxes or whatever? And they said, that's absolutely fine. And someone said, oh, you mean more dangerous? And I said, well, yeah. And they said, oh, let's call it Dangerous Dads. So we're stuck with the name. Please don't get the wrong end of the stick. We work with all father figures and children of all ages. And from time to time, we do come across dads who need a lot of additional support. And I'll tell you about a project we're working on in Plymouth shortly, where we're trying to engage a lot more sort of the disadvantaged fathers and fathers who are struggling to be the best dads in the world for their children. So yeah, that was 2007. I'm in Totnes in Devon, so it's a fairly affluent area. We've got a lot of resources nearby. There's a river, lots of green lanes, and lots to do. But what happened was that we started to reach a very large number of local dads, and the activities were so popular we would get 20 or 30 dads at an event. So you can imagine, with their children, that's starting to be quite a handful. So other children's centres and other towns around the UK were asking us, you know, what is this Dangerous Dads model? And in response, we set up the Dangerous Dads Network. So now any town anywhere can set up a dads group based on the Dangerous Dads model. And we've got 35 groups operating, 30 in the UK and 5 overseas, actually. Excuse me. So what we've done as part of lockdown is to offer membership free now until the end of the year. So if you're located anywhere where you think there could be a dads group, let me know, because as I say, membership is free. We give advice and support to any organisation that wants to engage with fathers. So that might be a children's centre or a primary school. It might be a forest school set up, you know, an outdoor education setting. It might be, we work with housing associations, we work with social workers, health workers, community projects. So if you're located anywhere where you think, hang on a minute, this sounds cool, you know, we'd love to see more dads engage with their children, then let me know, because as I say, all that is free at the moment until the end of the year. So that's one of the things we've done in response to lockdown. What we also operate are some community festivals. So we run Dad Fest each year. This year we were going to run 3. We were going to run one in Cornwall, one in Devon, and one in South Wales, and those aren't happening. But next year we will be running Dad Fests around the UK. So again, if you're located anywhere where you think, oh, that'd be quite cool to have a small festival for father figures and their children, let me know, because we're really keen to spread that model as well. And it can be urban as well as I say, we're in a fairly rural area, but we operate in urban areas as well, because there's often, there's loads of not only need, but possibilities and resources and opportunities in urban areas. So we're happy to talk to anybody. The other thing we set up, because at DadFest we run the World Dad Dancing Championships, obviously. Saturday night we and the kids judge who is the world's dad dancing champion. So it's worth having a look on YouTube for that. We also, from that, recognise the need for men to get fit, stay healthy. All our work is to support the family. It's to support men as positive, enabled, caring, confident parents. And I think that's lacking often in society and in many of the initiatives that happen. I think fathers often get overlooked, or maybe not enough effort is made to engage fathers. So men's health is a real issue, as we know. So we set up a dad dancing fit club. So this is a fun fitness activity that you can do with your kids based on those cheesy tunes that we all dance to at weddings. And so during lockdown we went online with that, and that was fairly successful. We were offering Tuesday morning and Saturday morning fitness programs via Zoom, which there was a lot of competition out there. I think people are a bit fed up with staring at a screen all day, but that was relatively successful. And we also offer a consultancy service as well. So I'm currently doing a PhD looking at contemporary fatherhood. So I work with a lot of different agencies with staff training and that to support them to be more father friendly. And then other things we do, we're running a project which I mentioned earlier in Plymouth. So that is really to work with all the agencies in that city who are interested in working with fathers. So it's military welfare, housing associations, the local council, voluntary third sector, social enterprises, a whole raft of people who really we haven't joined up before. So we're all trying to support men's fathers and men as and their families with addiction advice or employment advice, whatever, financial advice, whatever it might be. So we're running events, or we will be hopefully running our usual Dangerous Dad events to sort of get them engaged, get them interested, get them along to a Saturday event. But then we can also signpost them on to additional support, and we're also running conversation cafes with them in the evening, so they can offer and talk about things that they may not have had the opportunity to talk about as they're going to be professionally facilitated. So I think that's an interesting way of working. It's much more joined up and much more holistic, and is really focused on the needs of quite disadvantaged dads in Plymouth. So in terms of family, me and Sarah have got 3 children. The youngest one is at home, so she didn't finish her GCSEs. She had to leave at the end of March, so she had a birthday in lockdown. She's waiting for her GCSE results. Our middle child was at university, so I had to move him to his older brother's in Brighton just before lockdown, and he's subsequently come home. So we've got 2 at home, and the eldest is in Brighton. I think what we did at the beginning was we talked to particularly the youngest one, Lucy, about what she wanted to do during lockdown, because she said, I've left school at 15 with no qualifications. So she was fairly upset about that, and obviously not being able to have friends. But what we've done, I think, is been quite creative. So the mornings I tend to be working because she'll have a lie in, and then after lunch we've been trying to do activities. So once a week that might just simply be shopping, but we've also done baking, just talking how to make cakes. We have a small garden, so we've been playing badminton in the garden. We got this crazy golf set up as well. We just decided that we've got a bit of junk in the garden and a tennis ball, and we made this crazy golf course around the garden, which was good fun. We have a film night once a week. I bought an exercise bike that's in the shed, so that although we go out for a daily walk, she can also sit in the shed and use the exercise bike. She's got jobs to do as well. We've agreed, there's certain jobs that she does each day. We've sorted out clothes for charity. We've been in the loft and sorted out a few boxes up there. We also have a not weekly, and maybe fortnightly Zoom quiz with various members of the family around the country. And Rosie's picked that up, and she has a Zoom quiz with some of her friends now. Yeah, and I think so overall, I think what we've tried to do is be supportive, keep the kids active. They've got busy with their own, they use their own devices, but we've also got them outside. We've got them engaged with us as parents and try to support them through. But I think they're pretty resilient. I mean, they've been involved with Dangerous Dads, and I get on with them great. So that hasn't been an area of conflict here. And I think it's quite really reassuring to see actually their resilience through this pandemic, and it's they've sort of kept their spirits up, and we've been supportive of them, and they've really helped around the house. So maybe that's the advantage of having slightly older children at home. But yeah, so I think I'm not sure how useful that is to people, but I think overall we've tried to, I suppose, like a lot of people, just try to structure the day quite loosely, so it's quite a lot of flexibility. But we tend to work in the morning, and then, as I say, in the afternoon, some interaction that we have with our teenagers, and then then it gets up to tea time, and then helping with getting a meal ready, and then doing something in the evening. So it's kind of worked out for us. But yeah, I mean, that's all really I had to say. Hopefully that's of some interest to people, but I can certainly take some questions.
Thanks very much, Ian. That's really interesting, because you've got older children, haven't you? So that's like another experience, and the whole sort of GCSE thing must have been really, really tough. And yeah, really good to hear about Dangerous Dads as well, actually. So I'm going to just move swiftly on to Caroline, who's our final speaker, and then we'll have a discussion. If anyone wants to comment or raise a question, then we'll do that after Caroline. Okay, over to you then, Caroline.
Hi everyone. Oh, it's so lovely to see you. So my name's Cal, and I am the proud founder of Beautiful New Beginnings. We are based in Liverpool, but over this pandemic we have become global, which is incredible, and I think that's one of the highlights of COVID, isn't it? Is that we're no longer local solution based people. We are charities or community interest companies that are able to spread and to reach so many more people. Our ability to do that has been incredible. So I'm a mum of 3. Gracie, who you saw many times on the screen there, she just is loving the Zoom life now. She will ask whether I'm on mute, whether I am live, whether there's teammates on there, and just is totally embracing the Zoom life. So she's ready to be an entrepreneur and could probably run the business better than me most of the time. I have Jess, who is 9, and she is really creative, really, really kind, quite quiet. And I just actually did her hair during a Zoom. So, multitasking at its finest. And I think, again, that's what this time has shown us, is that we thought we could multitask before. My God, we can all multitask now, can't we? And And I have Harry, who's 11, and he's just off to secondary school. So a bit of an age range. Beautiful New Beginnings was set up in 2016 when I had Gracie. So she was my beautiful new beginning, and we aim to support and empower parents from pregnancy to school age with a range of different classes and courses. So we've, like I said, grown hugely in this time. We, like lots of people, moved online pretty quickly. The key word I think of the season is pivot, isn't it? And we managed to pivot pretty quickly, which was really useful. And we also managed to access a fair amount of funding, which meant that services that were tradable before are now fully funded for the parents that we serve, which has been incredible and has also helped us to keep the business running as well. I think when we look at the particular challenges that have been faced by social entrepreneurs, they're pretty similar across the board of any business, aren't they? We're all of a sudden faced with, you know, a business that is either A, growing hugely because of the communities that we serve, or B, you know, has managed to, you know, die overnight almost. You know, the events companies and those in hospitality industries, you know, they're facing such an incredible struggle as they've now managed to, you know, having to navigate this new season. So challenges are either huge growth or how on earth does my business look now, and how do I manage to take it through this period whereby hopefully we'll be able to come out the other side, and navigating that alongside changes that the government keep on making left, right and centre, so that we don't know actually where we are, do we? You know, one minute, you know, we can all go back to work on this date, we set ourselves up for that, and then, oh no, actually we can't. So I think everybody's struggling with that uncertainty period as well, and the uncertainty of the legislation that's surrounded and the interpretations that legislation can be subject to as well. You know, we see lots of people in different industries using the rules differently to go back or not to go back, and that's really difficult, and I think that's something everybody's facing. Challenges around growth has been incredible as well, you know, in the same sense. You know, we're managing a 37.5-hour job, and as social entrepreneurs, our half behind the business means often we work so many more hours than 37.5-hour standard week, don't we? You know, we can be up until midnight, we can be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the list of things to do is never ending, and on top of that, we've now not got this time where our children are away from home and we've got that clear headspace either. We've got this time where we have children demanding things of us. Food, I have become the snack queen. Like, that's all. I just provide snacks daily on an hourly basis. The children know if I'm on a Zoom, they're more likely to get crisps, lolly ices, any chocolate biscuits that they would want as well. And I've also become queen of this. So I now speak to my children like this in a very annoyed tone, across the top of the camera, so no one can read my lips on the screen. So also, you know, another great skill that I've picked up during this time, which I'm sure will come in handy in many other places in life as well. So yeah, there's so many issues around everyday life, isn't there? And I think number one, it's that we all need to do what many of us preach to other people, which is that take time for yourself. Where are you in all of this? Because actually, if you're the one running the business, and if you're the one who's pioneering these changes and who's out there supporting the communities, we've got to be there remembering ourselves as well, haven't we? You know, we say you can't pour from an empty cup. It's so true, but often as social entrepreneurs, we're beyond empty. There's nothing else left. There's the dregs of the cup as you get yourself into bed, faced with the to-do list of the next day, you know, because you've managed to meet the children's needs or get them all the snacks that they need. You've managed to get them out for their hours exercise. You've managed to get through some of the homeschooling list that you've been sent. You've managed to get them some outdoor time. You've managed to put a wash on. You've managed to do the dishes. The tea's been cooked. And at the end of the day, you've had that no time for yourself. So I think we either become really good at having to take that time, or at some point we have to realize that our bodies will stop us anyway and will force us to take that time. And so I think one of my things the particular challenges that I've faced over this time has been having to force myself to switch off, because working from home is great in so many ways, but it also means that you are sat in a house where your computer and all of your work surrounds you all of the time. Mine's by the fridge, so often I'll walk past the fridge, often for my chocolate, you know, or the bits that are going to keep me going as a parent, wine often, and then I'll walk to the laptop and think, I'll just check those emails again, or I'll just do this again, or I've got 2 minutes there, I'll just sort this out. And because our heart is to serve people, and because our heart is to be there for the communities, and because we're being trusted with people's money who are investing in us to do a good job for the people that are out there needing us so desperately, we do over and above every single day, 7 days a week. And we've got to remember in this time that, you know, there has got to be that time for us as well, and that our families do deserve, you know, not just the dregs of us, but all of us, because often we're doing this for our families as well. We've given up jobs, well-paid jobs with a pension and security and all of those things to live this dream and to support people. And we did that often for our families so that we could be there for our children and, you know, do the school run and pick them up and drop them off. And they deserve the best of us as well. So being able to switch off at a comfortable and reasonable time, I think, is really key when we're working from home, to protect ourselves as social entrepreneurs, so that we can keep on with that giving heart and that giving spirit and do the best for the communities that we serve. And the leader thing, coping with leaders and children, it is just really tricky, isn't it? Some days, you know, we talk about a work-life balance, and I like to think of it not on a daily basis now, and more over the week, and how we've achieved that on the weekly basis, because a work-life balance isn't something that always is really balanced. Some days your work by nature will need all of you, and the children take a back seat, and they do have the rubbishy food and the, you know, the bits that mean that you feel like you're not a great parent. And me and Fiona spoke the other day about the digital babysitter, you know, who you know, the iPad basically, and how we use that within our life. And actually we can't beat ourselves up about that, because that's just how it is at the moment. It's not going to be like that forever. And if we look at the year as a whole, or if we look at the month or the quarter as a whole, we haven't given them that digital babysitter all of the time. On different days it might feel like that, but on the majority we will have been quite balanced, because there will be days where you are out and about with them, and you've had these incredible 24 hours where the iPads haven't been involved at all, where you have been in the nature with them, in the park, you've done all these fun activities. So I think my other key thing for us as social entrepreneurs would be not to beat yourself up about having a work-life balance that matches on a daily basis, where you manage so much self-care and so much, you know, exercise outside, and so much of this for your children, and so much work as well, because actually we're never going to get that right. It's never going to fully balance and fully be perfect. So to just have a weekly balance where you think, do you know what, yeah, this week I've managed some self-care, this week the children on the whole have eaten well, and we've done well. On the whole, I've got through some of my to-do list, you know, and it has to be like that at the moment, because we haven't got that control over, you know, over everything all of the time, and that has to be okay. Otherwise, you know, we'll just go under with the guilt of everything, and they're not getting through things that you thought you were going to but haven't. So our business is being hugely affected in the opposite way with growth, which has been incredible for us at this time. But again, that comes with its own issues, doesn't it? We've grown as a team, but I've had to learn how to step back from being in the business all the time to managing at the top, which has been really difficult for me when I love being with people. It's been difficult to not to leave other people, because I've employed the best people for the job, and so it's got to be that I trust them to do that job, otherwise they'll get fed up of being micromanaged. So it's me learning all of these skills. So I haven't been in my comfort zone, I don't think, since, you know, probably February, when this all started to happen. And I've had to come round to the idea that that's actually a really great thing, because if you're in your comfort zone, your business isn't growing, you're not growing, and you know, we weren't here to live a comfortable life. We were here to make an impact. We were here to push forward and to do the best that we can for those people that really need us at this time. Yeah, so that's our business. And now I've done 10 minutes. I hope that's
Thank you, Caroline. I was just about to stop you. Thank you so much. There were some brilliant comments in the chat when you were talking. A couple of people saying that you're an inspiration.
No.
Totally relate to the snacking as well, because I think my 6-year-old has about 6 snacks a day now and no meals.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a couple of points I wanted to raise. One person has made a comment for Ian, really. Ian, in my experience, there's a need for dads of teenagers to access information and mentoring around transitioning from the manager parent to the mentor parent. Is there anything you want to comment on that? Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yeah. Our activities are open to dads with all ages, but they do tend to be primary school age or preschool age children. We rarely see dads with teenagers, except at Dad Fest, we get quite a few teenagers. I think there's I don't know really how to respond because of the manager parent suggestion. I don't see parenting in those early years as management parenting, but that's just our personal take on parenting. It hasn't been, I wouldn't consider it to be managing the children in that sense. I'd like to know a bit more about what that looks like and what that means. But certainly mentoring, but I think that mentoring is a lifelong role of a parent. So I don't think one stops and another takes over in those teenage years. But I can see perhaps I think Cal, did you want to say something?
I know that was something that's just recently come up in our business. So we look to support people at key transition points, and one of the transitions that we're just looking at is transition to secondary school. And I suppose a lot of that is tied up with that. I kind of understand what the person who's made the comment was saying, in that you almost have to take a step back a little bit, I think, and the child has to come up with their own, you know, almost rules, and you're working on that together rather than telling somebody what to do. You're working on those things together, and so we're doing a lot of work around that with conflict resolution with a team of secondary school teachers who are who've worked in behaviour management for a long time, and we're looking at a programme that would help to support parents and children together, that would like bring them together in that sort of sense. You know, so you've said that you want to achieve X, Y, and Z. How can we help you as parents to achieve X, Y, and Z, rather than you know, I'm telling you need your GCSE results and you're going to sit down and do X amount of revision for that. It's about looking at that parenting, and I think it's something that I think it is a difficult transition. I know as my 11-year-old gets older, I keep on saying to him, I've not done this before. I don't know how to parent an 11-year-old, so you'll have to help me with this, and we'll have to have lots of conversations. But I think some parents don't have that support network where they feel like they've got other people who are around them, that children are the same age as them, where maybe they'd say, you know, what do I do about this? You know, he's saying, you know, it could be something as simple as, no, I'm not getting a shower. Well, and then you get into that, well, I've told you you're getting a shower, so you are getting a shower, instead of this sort of parenting where it's like, do you know what, mate, at some point today you need to get a shower because of X, Y, and Z, and giving people the reasons. And I think often we just expect parents to know what to do, don't we? And there isn't a rule book, and that we're all winging it at each stage. And I think that there is that role of mentor, and it is something that we're looking at as part of the business, those sessions for children with conflict resolution with parents that they've worked through together, because we've also recognised it as something that's quite important.
Okay, thank you. There's another question that I wanted to ask you from Shweta. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. She has a 4-year-old with health conditions, lots of visits to doctors and hospitals. She's set up her social enterprise, Ginny's Planet, which was the reason, her son was the reason she set it up. These months have been tough when it comes to balance the time that needs to go to my enterprise so that it survives versus the time that should be rightfully my son's. How do you balance the two? Any sort of tips on that? Caroline, do you want to start?
I think time management is something that I'm really good at time blocking, but I'm a bit of a control freak, so I have time blocks where the whole family know when it's work time and when it's our time and when it's family time. So I time block out the day, so I will get up earlier than the children. I'll start the day at the computer about 6 and I'll do 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock because I know that then I'm going to get some work done and I won't focus on emails or anything at that time. That'll be like focused work time, the things that are going to make me the most money. So that's my time for that. Then the children will be up and then we'll do breakfast and things. So I'll have 8 till 9 o'clock will be children time because I know I'm not going to get any sort of work done in then. And then I'll block off from 9 o'clock. They'll know that they start some work at 9 o'clock and they do some bit independent work. So I set those up the night before and they know that from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock they're going to do some bits and pieces by themselves because I've got to work. And then the payoff is that in the afternoon, if I get some time there, then we can do this in the afternoon. And they buy into that at the beginning of the week. So we'll say, you know, what activity should we do in the afternoon? You know, what should we do in your time? These are the times, these are my meetings this week. And it just really helps because then everybody knows exactly where they are. And I just think high communication's key at this time for everybody so that you feel like you're also getting some of your stuff done, which is also vitally important, and that's okay. You know, it's okay to need to get those bits done and for your children to have to be by themselves doing some independent activities for a little while to pressure off.
Can I add? I
Yep.
think, I mean, parenting's such a personal approach, and I don't want, and I think everyone just, you know, we do it in our own way and we have our own styles of working. I think mine is quite different to that. I mean, for me, the bottom line is the health and welfare, well-being, comfort of the children. So if my teenagers come in, they want something or need something or I'm taking somewhere, I'll drop that and I'll drop work. So for me, the balance, it's not a 50-50 balance at all. It's the priority is always the children, and I will work around that. And if that means I'm not working that day because something's come up, then so be it. So, but maybe we're in a slightly fortunate position where, I mean, I've been furloughed from the organisation and we have a small amount of income that is guaranteed each month. So it's not a lot, but it means, and we've stopped paying the mortgage, taken a mortgage holiday for 6 months. So we can get by and we live in a nice place, so we can go out for a walk if we want. I know everyone's situation is different, but yeah, for me, the priority would always be the children.
There's another question that I might direct at Fiona, actually, to bring her back.
Just also for the last question as well, can I just say that set yourself 2 basic goals. Like sometimes we think it has to be this big, massive thing. We've got to be super realistic. And if you're dealing with a child that has needs, it means that your life, you know what your kind of setup is like. So if 2 goals is too much, set 1 basic goal. And that could be, let me write a blog about how challenging this is, because guarantee you there's other mothers feeling the way that you are. Or look at the stakeholder list that you need to engage with. Who do I need to send an email? What I've been doing, and keep your little book, because you know sometimes us as entrepreneurs, we've got so many ideas. Write your simple little, even if it's notes to self. You'll be surprised when you go back and look. Right now I've got some key players in my stakeholder list that I've had to revisit and say, hello, by the way, this is what we're doing digitally. Can you circulate it to your network? As simple as that. So keep it small. You know, sometimes we overdo these things and think, oh, that's why we don't do nothing. 1 goal or 2, if you can manage it.
Thanks, Fiona. I'm going to take that advice. Yeah, the last thing is there's been quite a lot of discussion around what's going to be happening in September, and there's a lot of people, a lot of parents working very, very hard at the moment. How can we sustain that level of productivity and, you know, keep a sane head really, with the prospect that, you know, there might be a second wave, or, you know, we really don't know if schools are going to go back and what's going to happen in the future. How can we keep going?
Yeah, I think what we need to do is keep going in a way that is realistic, like I've just said, because as we are living in very uncertain times, we don't know. We've seen what's happening in the north at the moment. We've seen, if we're keeping track of what's happening, it's inevitable that something's clearly going to go, because I don't know if we're the only ones that recognise that something happened in the beginning of the year, but the world just seems to have gone back to normal. And I don't really understand why we're not doing what we've been told to do, especially if we're trying to avoid a second wave. Anyway, that's my rant over. But I think what we need to really start to prepare ourselves. We've had 5 months experience, guys. What are you going to use with those 5 months? What did you do that worked? What did we do that didn't work? So for me, what I've been doing, and this is obviously, I've got a 15-year-old who is in year 10. She's always had her English tutor. I've got her a maths tutor as well. My sister is head of history, and history is one of her GCSEs exams. I know not everybody got a head of history teacher who's their sister, but I do. But what I would say is really tap into your network as well, because put your hand up and ask for help. Do you know why my household's so quiet right now and I don't have the 9-year-old popping in? Because he's at my mum's. Yeah, my mum, who is on furlough, who I've shipped him off to say, I've got to work, mum, you're on furlough, take your grandson. Ask for your help. And for those, you know, I'm not going to take for granted that everybody has a support network around them, but utilize what you do have. Form your bubbles. We've been allowed to form bubbles, guys. So if you're following what government has told us to do, use what you know. If for the young lady who mentioned before that she's struggling, if you've got a network around you that can hold your 4-year-old for just a couple of hours, and during that period of time you set yourself for what you want to do during that time, you'll be surprised what you'll be able to achieve as well. And just kind of look at what we've been doing, even through the organisation with our lives, we've been very practical with the stuff to do. In the beginning, we were trying to be super mums with it all, and we were like, no, guys, let's make it realistic, because even we're struggling. Let's, you know, show our vulnerabilities and let everybody know that, you know, it's all about the coping strategies. It's all about trying to see what works, and just recognise that, like I said, we have had 5 months experience, or we've got a 5-month history of what we've had to do and implement in our lives and in our homes. And I'm sure that something through that has to have worked, and I'd say apply it.
Great, thanks, Fiona. There's another question, but I don't think we've got time for it. So I just wanted to wrap up the webinar really and say thank you to our 3 guest speakers and for sharing your stories, and thanks to everyone really for starting this space, which I think is quite an interesting space for parents who are also social entrepreneurs, because as I said at the beginning, the SSE supports a lot of parents that are also social entrepreneurs, and it's really useful for us to get an understanding really of the pressures and the challenges that comes with that. So I just wanted to sum up by saying we'll send an email out to you with some links to what we've discussed today, and also to our other webinars, because we've done 8 other webinars, everything from crowdfunding, measuring your social impact, writing a funding bid, social media, and they're all free 45-minute webinars. So please do go online and access them, because it's all free stuff, and if it's a really good time to reflect as well on your business. And I'm just going to leave you with a final slide on just to remind ourselves really of why being a parent and a social entrepreneur is so amazing. So I'm just going to share that with you now.